Welcome back, everyone. So you're trying to get your friend into progressive rock and you don't know where to start. In this video, I will make 5 album recommendations that should pique the interest of most listeners, I guess. Now, none of these albums are going to be a big surprise. They are well-known prog albums by well-known prog artists. But before we begin, I want to share a few tips with you to increase your success rate. Okay, first of all, make sure you're introducing prog to someone who listens to something similar to prog, let's say classic rock. They may already be familiar with some of the music through their local terrestrial radio stations. If they are rap or country or top 40 pop junkies, then forget it. You'll be wasting your time and their time, mostly your time. Who cares about their time? Okay, next, don't go full immersion therapy on them and find the proggiest prog album that you can find to show off how sophisticated you are. If you start with something like Tales from Topographic Ocean, the four-sided album by Yes, they will probably never listen to prog again, or even worse, not ever talk to you again after you pull them out of their catatonic state. However, if you're trying to shed a friend or two, then this could be very effective. Lastly, some of you may be saying, why don't you have them listen to a greatest hits album? This could lead to unintended consequences because a lot of prog bands shedded their prog roots in the 80s for more of a pop sound. So when your friend tells you how much they enjoyed Invisible Touch or Owner of a Lonely Heart, you won't be shocked and confused by the results. Also, songs sound much better in the context of the albums that they were originally on. Pulling a song from its natural habitat lessens the impact of the song. Radio and greatest hits albums are the reason why people think that there are only 1 or 2 good songs on an album. Let's begin.
Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd.
As I said before, no major surprises here. Dark Side of the Moon is a very accessible album. The songs are relatively short by prog rock standards and concise with very little self-indulgence. No great feats of extended virtuosity here. Pink Floyd plays within the confines of their skills, relying on great songwriting and amazing production. Dark Side of the Moon was recorded at EMI Studios and engineered by none other than Alan Parsons. Drummer Nick Mason claimed that Parsons got his drums right. The band invited Alan to come back for their follow-up Wish You Were Here, but Alan was working on his own project. The name of that project slips my mind for some reason at the moment. If you can recall the name of the project that Alan Parsons was working on, then let me know in the comments section below.
The Yes Album by Yes.
Yeah, I know, you're probably wondering why not Close to the Edge. Well, songs like Yours Is No Disgrace and Starship Trooper are probably going to be a little less intimidating than the sidelong Close to the Edge, and more accessible as well. I know this is pre-Rick Wakeman, but if your friend likes what they hear, they can move on to Fragile and Close to the Edge. At this point in time, Yes were in a go-for-broke situation with lackluster sales on their previous album, Time and a Word, and they were under new management with Brian Lane. The Yes album would see guitarist Steve Howe making his Yes debut. The album peaked at number 4 in the UK charts and gave the band a much-needed boost. July of 1971 saw the departure of keyboardist Tony Kaye and the pilfering of Rick Wakeman from the Strawbs.
Love Beach by Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Just kidding.
Brain Salad Surgery by Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
ELP's Brain Salad Surgery was one of my entry points in the prog rock, so it should be everyone else's too. You get a nice selection of musical styles to start the album. A hymn, a drum-led instrumental of a classical song, a ballad, and a bit of Cockney humor. The real treat is Carnival 9. Weren't you avoiding sidelong songs, you might be asking? Well, it is divided up into different impressions, so you can skip through tracks if need be on one of those new compact disc players people are using these days, or their MP3 player. The epic goes through a futuristic carnival theme into a piano, trio, instrumental segment, and then finishing with an all-out war between man and computer. Originally called Ganton 9, the name was quickly changed to Carnival 9 for everyone's benefit thanks to lyricist Pete Sinfield.
Thick as a Brick by Jethro Tull.
More sidelong songs, you say? Well, make your own video then, you could probably do a better job. Thick as a Brick was the light-hearted follow-up to Aqualung, a deliberate concept album thought up by flautist vocalist Ann Anderson to sort of poke fun at other concept albums. It consists of 2 sidelong songs, Thick as a Brick Part 1, and you can probably guess the name of the other side. The album was mostly written on the fly in the studio, which paid off since the album went to #1 in the United States. The album is bookended with acoustic passages, but what happens in between is nothing short of magical. The album flows well and never gets boring. I first heard this in college before I even knew what prog rock was, and I had no idea what hit me. A brick, perhaps? Probably a thick one at that.
Selling England by the Pound by Genesis.
Selling England by the Pound might actually be the most accessible album on this list, and it is a fine example of prog rock. This album was released after their highly acclaimed Foxtrot album. Selling England by the Pound would alternate between longer and shorter songs, none being longer than 12 minutes. I love longer form songs, and I know I keep harping on song length, but it really does intimidate people that are used to single length songs. The song I Know What I Like even made number 21 on the UK singles chart. Anyway, Selling England by the Pound was guitarist Steve Hackett's favorite Genesis album, and this is my tip for finding great Genesis albums. Look for the ones with Steve Hackett. Simple. Invisible Touch unfortunately does not have Steve Hackett on it. I'm sure I missed plenty of albums, and I mostly stuck with symphonic prog rock. Let me know your thoughts and what I missed in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. It was the Alan Parsons Project? How could I not remember that? What the...